Yo, what is up? Welcome back to another stream here on Free Will Photos. Today, what we're going to be doing is organizing photos using the methods built into ON1. And, this is going to be something value added regardless of where you are in your photography journey. But I also think that beginners are going to benefit from this the most just because I think that's where many people struggle with just getting control over the thousands of photos and where those photos go. So I don't want to take too long to get into the content, but I do want to make you aware of a few things. First, I do have a website, and if you're just now meeting me for the first time, check out freewillphotos.com. It's free to sign up for a membership over there and to become a member of the website. And there's a lot of free stuff that's just available for you being a member. So consider checking that out. And then I also have an email list. If you go down to the description box, you'll see a link that says join my email list. I send out content, not as regular, so you're not going to get a bunch of emails from me. I'm not that kind of email person, but I do send out information from time to time, mostly catching you up with what's going on for the week and things of that sort. And then last but not least, I want to say thank you to everyone who continues to support this channel. It truly means a lot, and I am 100% grateful that I'm able to, just help you guys out and share that with you. Everyone who comments on the videos, that I get back to you. So if you're watching this on the replay and you have questions about organizing your content, then please, by all means, drop a comment. You can even shoot me an email, and I respond to those as well. So, and Tony, my man, welcome to the stream. Working on new camera angles and stuff like that. I think I found a solution, and we'll see. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me if this is a good solution as far as the camera angle goes and the quality. Just trying to step it up. 2022. You guys are giving me a time to stay focused on what I'm doing here, so I owe it to you to step my game up. So let's go ahead and jump into the computer because I have talked enough. Now, this may or may not work the way that I expect it to. Yep. So let me just fix my overlay real quick. All right. So now we are inside of ON1 Photo Raw. Awesome. Yes, this will be available for watching later. So if you can't stay for the entire stream, that's perfectly fine. It'll be posted on the channel, and you'll be able to watch the stream a little bit later, or if you need to. Let me move my camera over to the other side. There we go. All right, so here we are inside of ON1, and what I want to start with is the basics of getting photos into ON1. I think that there's some benefit in understanding where we need to go with just getting photos into ON1. Now, I'm not going to go super deep into should you use ON1 to get your photos into ON1, or if you should use the Finder or Explorer. It doesn't matter, whichever version of operating system you're using. If you're on Mac, then it's Finder. That's completely up to you. What I will say is ON1 is the only way for me right now that I can get photos that are .cr3 for the EOS R6 and be able to see the raw photos while I'm importing. So if you're shooting only in RAW, then I recommend that you use the import module inside of ON1 instead of just clicking and dragging your files over into a folder on your desktop or wherever. Theater modest text is in your frame. Oh, yeah. It's probably because I have a light that's right here and it's reflecting off of my glasses. But if I don't have my glasses, I'm gonna have a hard time seeing the monitor. My eyes are not as good as they probably used to be. So sorry about that. That there's gonna be a little bit of glare on my glasses. I'll work on the lighting situation, or in fact, let me just turn it off. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. I'm gonna be a little bit darker, but hopefully the glare is not so prominent. Just let me know. The text is standing on my face. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what that means. But importing your images into ON1 Photo Raw. So one of the best ways for me is I just use the import module. So if I click on File up here, okay, the text in my frame, like in my glasses, you see the text in my glasses. I'm looking at the preview to the stream, and I'm not seeing anything. Here, let's just do this. Maybe this will fix that. I'd just take myself off of the screen. Maybe that works. Oh, you may have to refresh your browser then if you're seeing text over the frame of the screen. I'm not seeing anything in the preview. The text. Okay, give me 1 second. We're going to go on a brief intermission. I just want to check something real quick, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so now I am back, and I think we're good to go. I will keep the monitor, or at least the face cam off for this portion of the stream, just so that way we don't have any challenges, and we should be good though. And hopefully, if you guys were seeing text and you had to refresh, that should hopefully be fixed now. But okay, so importing images into ON1 Photo Raw. If we hit File and click on Import from Device, this is the way that I recommend everyone imports their images, because this is how you are going to be able to see, at least to the best of my knowledge, on a Mac computer, CR3 files from an EOS R6. Not sure why that was taking so long, but here I have some photos that I took of my kids, or I'm sorry, my daughter and her friend. We got some snow here, and so They were outside. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go take photos of them messing around in the snow. My daughter shoveling the driveway, things of that sort, right? And then I have some product photos, and then there's some videos that I took. I got a bunch of stuff on this card, and I think this is where many of you are probably going to be, where you have tons of different things on your SD card, and when you're importing, I recommend you import based off of the event. So if I want just these product shots that I was working on, then I'll hit check none, and I'll click on the first image and then hold shift, click on the last image, and then click the circle on the left hand corner of the image. Now, what I would like to note or point out is, if for some reason you have a arrow that's pointing to the right, that means you've already imported this particular image. So you may not need to import those again. This is a new feature in ON1. I think it's in 2021. I know for a fact it's in 2022. I believe they added this in 2021 in one of the later updates. So that is a huge bonus to you if you're like, hey, I don't know if I imported these or not. ON1, if you use the ON1 import module, it will tell you if you've imported these. Now, the problem that I think is happening here is in the naming convention. So when my camera takes a photo, it names it ER6 underscore and then a series of numbers. Well, every time that I reset my memory card, then it's going to rename a new file with that new sequence number, or a used sequence number, which is potentially already somewhere inside of ON1 Photo Raw. Now, the way that I'm gathering this is, if you look at the image here, these two images are a prime example. This image has not been imported, but this image has. Now, I know for a fact I haven't imported any of these images because I haven't gotten around to that yet, which is why they're still on the memory card. So you just have to be aware of what you're importing. Moral of the story, if you are shooting one subject or one event, then you are good to go. Now, I will show you a method where you can import an entire SD card, and then I'll show you how to organize those photos. So maybe you shoot some photos of your kids at the park, and then a couple days later, you're on a road trip, right? A couple days later, maybe you're doing some product photography, and then whatever else, you may have some other photos or photo shoots in there where it doesn't necessarily all coincide together. All right. So, moral of the story, you want to use the import module, or at least I recommend that. And you can choose where you save your files. Now, for me, I have a preset. Whenever I am going to upload multiple photo shoots, I use a preset called Sort Me Please. And that's just my way of saying, oh man, I got a bunch of photos. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with these. So like, I have some, sorry for anyone who gets grossed out, there's a fly, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna practice some macro photography on a fly. And then I started taking all these random photos, right? And then I took photos of my wife and my daughter, door stuff. I just got a bunch of random photos here. All right, so what I'm going to do is hit check none, click on these photos, and I'll stop right here just so that way, actually, I will go through some of the, okay, I will explain the preset here in 1 second. Just going to go ahead and import these winter photos now that I have the opportunity to do so. Now, once you select your image, I'm going to click over here for a second. I have a video in here that I don't need to import. So I'm going to click off of everything else and then click this particular item here. Now, after you have selected your images, then you should move over to this right-hand panel. The right-hand panel, you can click on the folders here. And as you can see, I have some recent locations. This is where I typically choose to save my images in many cases. But if for whatever reason, the recent locations does not have the folder that you want to save your file in, then what you can do is go down to choose, and then you can choose the location that you want to save your files. So if I click on this, it should open up my my Finder window, and then I can go through here and look for the folder just like you would on any other version of, or I'm sorry, like if you were searching for a folder. All right. Now, one of the other places, and I'll show you how this works, is current browse location. I'll show you how this works in my next step after I import these photos. I'll show you how that works. All right. Now, for me, I have a subfolder called Sort Me, but I thought I already had that. So this would be a prime time for me to click on choose and then come over here to my personal work, and I already have the folder called Sort Me, so I'm just gonna open that particular folder, right? And hit open. So now I don't need to create a subfolder, but if for whatever reason I said, you know what, I need a subfolder so I can separate these files, then I can do that, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to uncheck the put in subfolder, but this is one level of getting organized. All right. I would caution making too many subfolders inside of a folder, because for some reason, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, whenever you end up making multiple folders, things get lost in the mix. That's a personal thing. I don't like making folders on folders on folders, because then I have to click through 4 folders just to get to the maybe 5 photos that I have in that 4 folders deep. That is a personal preference. Let me know in the comments how you feel about having multiple folders. Now, moving down, and I'm not going to talk about generating subfolders or anything of that sort, but you can rename the file. Now, I don't want to name this Sort Me. This is part of the preset that I made, but I don't want to name this Sort Me. I want to name this, we'll just go with January. Today is the 15th, January 15th. Upload. We'll just call it that. You can make your file names whatever you want. Now, I do recommend that you put a underscore in between the file name and the token if you're using Photo Raw 2022. And if you're on 2021, then you don't have to worry. You should put underscores, but you're not going to have the token system. This will all work the same. I'm not quite sure if presets were in there. I think they were. Yeah, and Tony says it happens to him too with having multiple folders put together. So, and that's just a personal thing. I don't like a ton of folders. I like one folder, get to the thing that I want to get to, and we'll go from there. And you'll see that in my file structure. All right, so the next thing down is going to be your metadata. Now, I highly recommend everyone uses metadata. If you have not seen my metadata video, please go check that out. I will make sure it's in the description, for the replay. I'm not sure if I put it in there when I was making the live stream. So, but the point here is you want to at least put your name, so that way, your name is always associated with your images. And then whatever your copyright is, I'd usually put free will photos or all rights reserved or something like that. Whatever you want to put in there. But then you want a keyword, for the Sort Me, leave the keyword alone. If you are uploading let's say this is all snow day and it's my kids. I would probably put kids, outdoor, snow, winter, anything excluding the year. You don't have to put years and dates and stuff like that because that's already saved in the metadata of the image itself. Now, you can also apply a preset if that's what you want to do, but since we're focusing on organizing our photos, I'm not going to showcase that because that doesn't help us today. Now, assuming you have everything and this is like a consistent thing that you're going to be doing, then I would recommend that you come into the drop down here for your presets. This is on Photo Raw 2022, and I think you can make presets on 2021. Please don't quote me on that. And you'll scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says Save New Preset. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to label this Random File Upload. Okay. And hit save. So now anytime that I'm like, you know what, I got random files, I need to upload them or save them or whatever, then this is going to work for me. Now I'm going to click import and let that do its thing. Now this has jumped to my sort me folder, and these images, I guess I forgot to sort, or I did sort and they're just in there. But you can see I have a ton of random images in this particular folder. And now my other random images are starting to populate. And I think this is where many people are going to be with their SD cards. They're just going to have photos on their card. They're going to try and put them into the computer, and they're just going to run out of, or they need a way of organizing those particular images. So we'll let those load up, and I'll jump over to the comments and see if there's any questions there. So yeah, I guess I'm not seeing any questions, but you know, if you have any so far, because we're just getting started, and you know, this is not going to be the most exhaustive, but this is the best place to start, since organization of your images, it starts as you are uploading your files. If you don't upload your files in a organized manner and you have a consistent process in which you do it, which is why I also recommend using the import module and using the presets, then you'll end up putting photos in places that they don't necessarily belong. Now, this is also a good time to mention you should have a backup file, and that should be a completely separate hard drive. Whatever you choose to do, and I get it, everyone's on different financial means, and I will never say, you know, you got to go and buy the top of the line hard drive, but you should definitely have an additional hard drive where you just save all of your raw files or your unedited files. At the absolute least, if you lost your edited versions, you can at least go back and re-edit those files. Now, anyone who shoots professionally, they know this already, because when you're talking about receiving money for your photography, probably should have a backup just in case something happens, which is why most professional photographers like cameras with 2 SD card slots in it or memory card slots, so that way they can shoot redundant just in case one of those SD cards fails. You still have your files and you didn't lose the day. So, or, you know, if you're shooting weddings or lose the event, whatever it may be. Moral of the story, you definitely want to back up your files. Now, these images have uploaded. Let's jump back into the computer. Let me see here. So you use this folder only to sort your good pictures. So sort of. I use this kind of as my filtering board, if you will. So I drop all of the images into this particular folder, and then I go through, and you can see I got videos in here that I didn't mean to upload. They were just on the SD card. And all of these photos, they just need to be organized in some way. So what I typically do, and this is where the organization piece starts. All right. So what I do is I come down to the very bottom, and once these load up, I say, okay, I want to focus on all of the photos for the winter, like the girls playing in the snow or in the winter. So I'll click on those photos, and I'm just going through and selecting all of the images. And, you know, this is a manual process, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. All I'm doing is going through, selecting these images, and I am going to add them into a subfolder. So, you know, this is a little tedious, and that's okay. I think tedious work is not a problem. You just got to know that that's what you're going to do. And you can absolutely, if your camera doesn't have weird file names, it might be all right. And then looks like I took a video that day too, because why not? All right. So once you have all of the photos that you want to include, and I'll even include, oh, did I click off of that? Yeah, that wasn't a video. That was a photo. All right. So once you have all of your photos selected, then you are going to right click on one of those photos, and you're going to get the pop-up menu. In this pop-up menu, what you want to select is add subfolder. Okay. It's going to be about halfway down, maybe on the top half, right before the halfway mark. You want to click on add subfolder. And now you get to rename this. And this is the next step in organizing your files. So this, I'm just going to call Girls Snow Day. And I want to move the selected items into the subfolder. And Mr. Waffles just sneezed. So ON1 is going to grab all of my images, and it is going to move them into a subfolder. Now, the subfolder down here at the bottom, and looks like I missed a photo. So if you miss a photo, don't worry about it. Just click on it, and you can literally click, drag, and drop right into that folder, just like you would on your Explorer or your Finder window. This is one of the reasons why I love ON1, because all of what I just did happened on my hard drive. All right, so this isn't just a internal to ON1. This all happened on my hard drive. Now, I'm going to assume that most people are familiar with navigating to their files inside of ON1. So over here on the Browse module, I am going to click on my photo drive, and then I'm going to click on personal work, and I actually have a folder that's labeled family pictures. So I am going to click the drop down on that, or actually you can leave it unexpanded. It doesn't really matter however you do this. And all I have to do to move this folder into my family photos, my family pictures folder, all I have to do is click and drag this folder. You see how that turns into a folder icon? All I have to do is click and drag this in to my family pictures folder. And then ON1 is going to transfer all of those files on my hard drive to that folder. And so when I navigate to those pictures on my hard drive, they'll be there. Now, you can, obviously, I still have some work to do. I got more photos inside of here, but this is like the first step of unloading your SD card, getting your images ready to go, and then you can move them into other folders that you've already created. Now, if you don't have folders created here on your hard drive, my recommendation is to open up your hard drive, and I'll go to personal work, and all you have to do is right click, create new folder. I'm going to label this one test folder for live, and I'm going to close this out. And now ON1 has this folder, test folder for live. You seen how I made that inside of my Finder, and then it just transitioned over into my browse module. That's how you get your folder structure set up. Now, if I don't need this folder, I can right click on it and I can delete this from ON1, and it's going to delete that particular folder out of my hard drive. All right, so I hit delete. It's going to go away from here. And I don't recommend you do this, but you can do this. I'm just showing that there is a way of staying organized. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my family pictures, hit the drop down, and I'm going to find the girls snow day folder because I think that's what we named it. Yep, girls snow day. So this is where you get to do some work. All right. The first thing that I recommend you do is you rename your files. So I'm going to click on the first one, click Command A, and then or Control A if you're on a PC. So Command A on a Mac, Control A on a PC, just so you can select all your images. I'm going to right click on the first image, and I'm going to come down to rename file. Okay. Now I have the option of renaming my files, and I can't make this much larger, so hopefully it's coming through pretty well. But what I want to do is rename this now to Girls Snow Day, and I'm going to get rid of sequence number for just a second because I want to show you what happens if you don't have these tokens in there. All right, and if you're on ON1 Photo Raw 2021, this is going to work the same minus the tokens. You'll be able to rename, and you're going to run into an issue. But I think ON1 Photo Raw 2021 actually does solve this problem for you. So now I have all of my photos selected. And let's just say I'm like, you know what? I'm going to name this Girl Snow Day. And I hit apply. I get a pop-up. And this pop-up, it's telling me that the rename files will contain duplicate file names. Meaning I can't rename all of these the same file name, because then the computer is not going to know how to recall these images based off of the reference name that you give it or the file name that you give it. So what you need to do is add in something that will make each photo different. Now, ON1 Photo Raw 2022 allows you to add these tokens. So I'm going to click Add Token and then Sequence Number, and then I just go with sequence with the one here. You can use whichever one of these that you want to. I just click on the first one because that's what works the best for me and my filing. Now I'm going to hit underscore, and I'm going to add another token. I like to have the date inside of my photos, and that's really just so I know the capture date and I can reference this later as well. This is again saved in the metadata. If you look in the upper right hand corner over here, I have the date saved right there, but I prefer to have my my information saved over here inside the file name as well. So I'm just going to click on date, time, and I go year, month, day format. And I don't necessarily need all the dashes just to make the file a little bit easier. So I'd use year, month, day in this particular order. So now, and then also, very important, you want to start your number on 1. You could start it on 0 too, but I like to start on 1 because that's how we start counting, right? 0 is the existence of nothing. 1 is the existence of something. So that's why I start with 1. Personal preference, again, make your own decision on how you want to do that. I'm going to click apply. So now ON1 went through and renamed all of my files. And as you can see, started on 1, it labeled the way that I have my sort set up is the latest file or the last file ends up on top. That's a culling purpose. And, you know, I like to edit the last photo that I took because typically the last photo is the one that I'm going to remember the most because it's the most fresh in my mind. So that's the reason why this is set up that way. And you see the numbers going in reverse order. Personal preference. Not a big deal. You can choose to do this however you want. Now, while you still have all of the photos selected, I recommend you come over to your keywords and add in all of your keywords. So snow, girls, outdoors, playing, Jaden, Naya, we'll go winter and cold. Why not? Right? So you add in all your keywords, and I'm adding this to all of these images. Now, if you wanted to, you can even add a description. This is going to help you later on as well. Okay? So now I can deselect all of these photos. And when I click on any one of them, you can see I have the file name is changed, which is right here. Sorry. It's underneath your EXIF data. And if you're not seeing this, you're potentially on one of these. You're either on none or you're on one of the other options down here. Again, this is explained in my metadata video. But if you click on EXIF, then you should see file name and you'll see that it's changed. And then you'll have your metadata here. Now, if you're not seeing metadata, you just have to click on metadata. It's going to open up and you can rename this however you see fit, or add in all of your keywords. And as you can see, I have keyworded all of my images. Now, I'm going to pause here for any questions, but this is the basics of organizing. All right. And I'll recap what we did. So we originally imported all of our images into a single folder. Sorry about that. We imported all of our images into a single folder, and that folder is called Sort Me. Now, obviously, I still need to go and continue this process for everything else that I got in here, right? But then once we got the photos out of or into the Sort Me, we went ahead and put them into a subfolder by selecting all of the images, right-clicking. As soon as my computer responds, right-clicking, and then clicking Add Subfolder. The subfolder was then added to our Sort Me folder, and we clicked and drug that particular subfolder where we want to save it long-term, okay? And we named that subfolder whatever we wanted. So I named it Girls Snow Day because that's what I wanted to name this particular one. And then I went ahead and selected all of the images by hitting Command A. I right-clicked on the image, and then I went to Rename File. When we renamed the files, we had to add a sequence number into it to make the files different. I also added in a date because I like to have dates in my images. If you're using Photo Raw 2022, I recommend putting underscores between your tokens just to separate them. Otherwise, you'll get a series of numbers if you're using dates, and it'll look really weird, and you're not, at least it makes it hard for me to read. And then selecting what number you want to start on. While all of the photos were still selected, we went ahead and added in our keywords as well. So that way we can recall these using our keywords list in the browse module as well, which is over here. If I wanted to look up if I was on the family pictures folder, and this, again, the keywords, I'm just going to demonstrate how the keywords actually help you with organizing your images and the later recallability of your images. So I have a lot of photos inside of my family pictures album or folder, which is why it's taken a while for it to generate the preview of all of those. And there it is. So these are all photos, obviously, of my family. And if I wanted to look up anything with just my daughter in it, I can click this little bubble and it's going to show me I have 59 images with that particular keyword. And what I can do is search by this by double clicking on it. So I double clicked on it, it opened up my advanced search. All right. And now all of my photos, and I have way more than 59, which I thought was weird, but I'll let ON1 do its thing. And as you can see, it's bringing up all of the photos that have that particular keyword on it. So if I'm like, you know what, I know that my daughter was in this photo and I want to find photos of my daughter, now I can go and double click and pull up the keywords of photos of my daughter. Like, I can't stress enough the importance of using keywords in your photos. Now, I turned off the keyword search there, so that way I can get that. But, you know, if I wanted to, the other thing that I could do is I can come in and maybe I want to find all of the pictures of, let's see, birds. And again, this is how you can organize yourself. And this is searching all of my cataloged folders for any word, or I'm sorry, any photo that contains a keyword that says birds in it. And so, as you can see, I have all kinds of photos here that it is recalling, and there's birds inside of it. So keywords are so important. Please, 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 if you don't do anything else and you don't take anything away from organizing your photos, please take away, add keywords to your images, because this is going to save you from searching long and hard for an image later on down the line. Now, if you end up where you're like, you know what, I don't use keywords and I never used them, but now, Chris, I get it. I see how keywords are beneficial. Well, the good news is, if I wanted to do, if I wanted to add another keyword to any image, all I have to do is select images, find those images wherever they are inside of ON1. You have to do this in ON1, by the way. You cannot do this on Explorer or Finder, because the sidecar file that is written by ON1 is what ON1 is referencing to actually pull up the folders or to pull up those files. So you have to make sure that when you are cataloging your images, you're adding keywords to it, and ON1 will be able to read that. Now, I selected these images here, and then I get my keywords. And if I wanted to, I could just go ahead and add another one. So I already got outdoors, and I'll add green grass, right? So now when I click off of those, it's going to add those, sorry. And now when I click off of those, you see it's adding in the green grass to those 3 images, and I get a green grass option down here. I have a lot of keywords, right? Because I use them a lot. Now, make sure that you can go in and clean up your keywords and find images that have duplicates like event and events. I could probably combine those images, and I'll show you how to do that because I'm going to do that. I see there's a comment. Let me see here. And Tony says he's going to use keywords from today on. Yeah, hey, keywords are your best friend by far. Let me get a sip of coffee. All right. Keywords are by far your best friend. You absolutely should use them. I don't know how I would survive without them, to be completely honest, because I have and for me, I use keywords in my professional work to recall images. When someone would say, hey, do you have the picture of, and then it's like, oh, I got to go look through all these folders or remember a date. But if I know who was in that image or what the event was, because if I photographed an event, I would always name it or keyword that event name. So if someone said the birthday party for Chris, then I can type in birthday using the advanced search. I can use keyword is and then type in birthday, which I'm not going to do right now because that would change the option or the photos that are displayed here. But I would type in birthday, and then I would use another token or another field, type in Chris, and then maybe even put in a date range if I know what year that was shot in, because you can do a date range field by year, right? And that's going to get me to those files really, really fast, and then I can deliver those to whomever I need to deliver them to. Now, as I mentioned before, sorry. Okay. As I mentioned before, the next thing that you can do when you are getting your photos organized is probably getting some of these duplicate keywords under control. So I have event and events. There's no reason for me to have both of those keywords. So what I'm going to do is double click on events. And this is going to bring up my advanced search again. And it brings me to some of the events that I've shot in the past, which I have a lot of events that I've photographed, which is probably why I labeled it events. But what I'm going to do is I'm just moving this over to my second monitor so I can actually see my work here. Or in fact, what I'll do is, let me see if I can shrink this a little bit. And I'll just pull this over to there. Yeah, now it's out of the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is select all of these images, and this is still in the way. I'm going to pull that down. I'm going to scroll back up on this bad boy over here, and I'm going to change the word events. I'm going to delete from all of these images, okay? Doesn't matter if they're from a different event. I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to type event. All right. And now what that is going to do, as soon as I click out of there, let that run its thing. ON1 is thinking, and it's going through all of those images, and it's changing it from events to event. And I guess I could have just deleted the S, and that would have done the same thing effectively. But now you can see I no longer have, and this is the reason why I kept this up. This lets me know that I no longer have images that contain the word events. All right. So that keyword is empty. And then if I delete the S and I click off of this, and you can see down here in the bottom corner, bottom right hand corner, that ON1 is updating my preview, and all of my photos from events are starting to come back over here. And so far, I only have 523 items that are showing, but I know I have way more than that. I wonder if it's case sensitive. No, it's not case sensitive. This is not updating properly. There we go. Now my photos are starting to show up. I have way more than 523. Sometimes ON1 just doesn't do a good job at updating. And maybe I did not put event on all of my photos, and that's where I need to go back and re-tag those, because I probably missed some photos during my cataloging. But that, proof and concept, I showed you that you can absolutely photograph events or whatever, or I'm sorry, change the keywords on your photos quite easy and fairly quick by using this particular method. All right. So now we will go back to our girls snow day folder. Okay. So now we are back here in the girls snow day folder, and it is probably a good time to go over labeling. Okay. Labeling is another version of keywords. Now, you have a few options when it comes to labeling. All right. And whatever you choose to make your labels is completely, 100% completely up to you. I'm only going to offer a recommendation here, but this is going to be a big deal in getting you coordinated for organizing your files. So we are going to, or actually, let me go over the four, or the, what is there? 1, 2, 3. There's 3 labeling methods. All right. So there's the heart system, which I think most people are familiar with. If you click the heart, then that becomes a liked photo. If you unclick the heart, it becomes an X'd photo or a rejected photo. And then if you click the X, it just becomes a null photo. Now, this matters because you can search by the way that you have tagged your images. All right. Again, it's up to you. I personally use the heart. I press the letter P on my keyboard. Oh, gotta select a photo. Press the letter P on my keyboard, and I move on to the next photo that I may want. So this one, maybe this one. That one doesn't look too bad. And I'm not actually culling these. You want to do a better job at culling your images. We'll go with that one. All right. So now, with ON1, if I wanted to search by just my picked photos, I can go to the advanced search and go with just the picked photos. But what ON1 has also done in 2022.1, I think that's the version, whatever the newest update to ON1, you now have some filters that are down here at the bottom. And if I click the heart, it's only going to show me the photos that I selected with the heart. And this is super helpful when you are trying to figure out what is going on. All right. What photos you selected. So imagine you had 1,000 photos in here. You go through, you cull your images, and you're like, you know what? I only want to see the ones that I actually want to do something with. That's what the heart means for me. The heart means I want to do something with this image. All right. I don't know what yet, but I know that I like it enough that I will do something with this image, even if it's just leave it alone and wait for months, years down the line to actually re-edit or to get an edit on the image. All right. But then you also have the star system. Now, for me, I don't give a photo a star until I have done some form of editing to the image. The star system that I use is 3 stars means that I edited the photo and I enjoyed this particular thing. All right. So I'll click 3 stars. That means I have, and for some reason, whenever you make a change while you're in this filter mode, it loves to reset on you. So just be aware of that. And it's easy to get it back. You just put the same parameters back in, which I just wanted to show the liked photos. But I use the 3 stars. That means I've edited the photo and the photo is something that I want to use. All right. And I'm going to share with someone essentially. All right. But I'm probably not going to print it, and it's not a portfolio image, meaning I'm not going to make this a portfolio file, but I'm good enough with the edit that I'm ready to send it out. Okay. That's what the 3 star for me means. Now, 1 and 2 stars means that a 1 star image means that I've worked on editing the photo. I'm not satisfied with it. I don't want to send this to anyone. A 2 star means that I came back to the photo after I've edited the photo and I still think that I have some more work to do with it before I can share it with someone. And then once it gets to the shareable portion, then I give it a 3rd star. Now, I only do that because I'm really big into photo editing, and some of my edits, they take time for me to get done with. And so, I could spend a day, 2 days editing an image, and maybe I forget that I was working on something. So if I'm like, you know what, I want to go look at all my 1 stars or 2 stars, whatever it may be. Now I have that option to do that, right? I have a way of recalling those images quickly. Now, the 4 star means that I'm going to print the image. If I mark anything as a 4 star, that means I'm sending that for printing. And then the 5th star is going to be for anything that I want to put into my portfolio. This is something that I'm like, man, this is great. I want to put this in my portfolio. All right. Those are my, that's how I use the stars. Now, again, you can use them however you want, whatever works the best for you. I personally like to do that method. Now, the other thing that I like to do is I use a color system. Now, my colors are very different than my star system. I typically use this in my bracketing. So let me go over to my bracketed images. I have a folder for that. It's not in this one. There it is, bracketed images. Okay. And this is whenever I photograph anything HDR, and what I still got my heart selected there. and I say HDR, I mean to say anytime that I bracket a shot, it goes into this folder. And the color system that I use is really undefined indefinitely. But typically, at the beginning of a photo range, I'll put a green icon. So I'm trying to find one where, so like this one is the actual blended version of this photo. And this came from Lightroom. But I have, and we'll just go with this one. All right. So I have these three images here. Sometimes I may bracket more than three images. So what I'll do is I'll select the green icon for the first image in the series, and then I'll select the red icon for the last image in the series. Now, this lets me know that the photos from here to here should be merged into whatever whatever software I'm using to merge, if I'm using ON1 or if I'm using the HDR effects from the Nick collection. All right. That's the only reason, or the way that I use the color system. I also use the color system sometimes, and this is very sparingly. Sometimes I use it to identify photos that I want to print. So if there's a photo that I'm like, you know what, I really want to print this, I'll hit the green icon, or I'm sorry, the green tag, and like before using the star system, that's what I used it for. So some of my photos have this green color, and then the yellow, the blue, and the purple, and I think there's even a gray one. Oh, that's just unlabeled. Okay. So the yellow, the purple, and the blue are heavily unused unless I'm using some sort of, I'm just being obscure for that day. But overall, I use them as a range system. And then I used to, apparently I've changed it to red. But whenever I created my HDR blend, I used to mark them as yellow, and that let me know that I had an HDR photo, or the merged version of that photo for me to edit, and it would just be easier for me to find those merges. But I have not bracketed in a long time, so hopefully that made sense with the color indicators on the photo. So now we will go, no, I need to go back here, and let me see what I have on this card. I think I got some product shots. So we're going to upload some product shots as soon as my computer decides to respond. So I'm going to jump over to the comments, see if there's any questions in there. Okay, no questions in the comments section. So, if you guys got questions, please drop them. I am more than happy to answer those. And I just want to make sure that, if what I'm sharing with you makes sense or doesn't make sense, that I get those questions answered for you before, we hop off the stream. But again, if you're watching this in the in the replay, then please ask me whatever questions you have about organizing your photos, because there are a ton of ways. Now, if you have a way of organizing photos inside of ON1, please feel free to share whatever you think would be value added for the community, because I am by no means saying that the way that I save and archive and catalog my images is the best method. This is just the method that I use. All right, so we are going to jump back over into the computer, and I'm going to click on import device, or import images one more time. I just want to see what I have in here so I can import. We've already got those images. Okay. So we'll do these product images. Let me go ahead and hit cancel. No, that's awesome, Antony. That is the goal, is to help. If you're looking for a way of organizing your images, I want to show you how you can do that and be helpful. And this next method may actually be, this is one that I use a lot if I know exactly what's on my SD card and I don't want to go through a whole hassle of getting stuff added in that import dialog. So what you want to do is navigate to where you want to save your files. So I have a still life folder, so I'm going to click on that and I'm going to let this pull up. Now, I also have inside of the still life folder, I have this oatmeal skincare product. This is just, I'm working on portfolio stuff, and that was, just stuff that I'm working on. What I like to do is I come into the location where I want to save these. Now, let's assume I never had this oatmeal skincare product folder, right? I can go back to the main folder, which for me is going to be still life, and I can come down to any blank space, right click, and then I can create a folder here by clicking add subfolder. All right. So when I have the add subfolder, I'm just going to name this oatmeal skincare live stream. And I'm going to check the block that says move select, or uncheck the block that says move selected items into subfolder. And then I'm just going to hit add. This is going to create a blank folder for me. And now I have to go and find that folder, which is right here. So if I double click this, I get an empty folder. This is what I want. Okay. You want to create an empty folder, and you can create this also inside of Finder or Explorer. It doesn't really matter as long as you have an empty folder. And now when I come in here to import from device, of course, doesn't want to, we'll go EOS digital. Got a lot of photos on here. Oh, that's reading the wrong card. Come on. Give me 1 second. Technical difficulties. This is the life of photo editing, right? Okay. Well, nonetheless, we're gonna roll with it because I don't want to take up your guys' time trying to solve troubleshoot things, right? So we're just gonna click on, or actually, let me see. Maybe I can go choose, and then I can choose this card. Open. Okay, we're just gonna go with something that's on this card. These are all photos of my daughter. Here. We will upload from here. We'll upload some of these. Those are videos, but whatever. All right, cool. Gonna hit check none. And I'm just going to upload a few images. I'll upload these ones right here. They've already been uploaded, but I want to show you the purpose of creating an empty folder, navigating to it. Earlier, if you remember, I told you you can choose the destination by current browse location. This is important because my current browse location is the oatmeal skincare product for the live stream, but obviously just pretend these are oatmeal skincare photos, all right? I don't know why it doesn't want to read the other SD card that I have plugged in here, even though it's reading it. That's irrelevant, all right? We're going to skip past that. But you can rename all of this. You can put your keywords. You can do all of whatever you got to do. But because I am currently at that browse location, I don't have to select a new folder, right? I just select current browse location, and then I can hit import and watch. It's just going to start putting those photos right here inside of this location. So now I have my photos inside of the browsed location instead of having to go and create a folder and do all that cutesy stuff. I just do that up front. I do this a lot more frequently than I do almost anything else. I use browse location a lot, unless I just don't know where I want to browse to. Now, with that being said, my folder system is typically one click deep. So I have my personal work, and then I have still lifes, which, my still life is where I do that. And then I go into whatever that still life shoot is, right? So I don't have like still life and then, I don't know, candles or, something, and then, or products or food. And then I go into what type of shoot that is. That's too many folders, right? What I typically do is I click still life, and then like I did a tilapia and rice photo shoot a couple days ago, or whatever, or Lego dreams. I was messing around, or Lego friends. Like you see, I'm going right into the photo shoot. So I have personal work, still life photos, because that's the category, and then inside of the category, whatever the name of that shoot is what I will label inside of ON1 Photo Raw as my folder, as opposed to telling or making multiple folders. Again, back to that multiple folder thing. I am not a fan of this, which is why I don't mess around with multiple folders. So hopefully that made sense. But more importantly, the navigating to a folder and then uploading your images, choosing current browse location during the import process, and so that way you can put your photos wherever you want. So if I knew that I shot more banana nut muffins, right, which for some reason this got labeled crystals flowers, I don't know why. Maybe this is the banana nut muffin shoot. I have a banana nut muffin shoot, I promise. There it is. So if I shot more banana nut muffins and I was like, you know what? I want to upload more photos, or I want to put them into the same file so that way I have that available. Well, all I have to do is come to this folder, and then at the import or during import, I just have to click banana nut or click current browse location. All of my banana nut muffin folders will go, or I'm sorry, photos will go into this folder, and it's done. And then of course, like these ones, I did not keyword, and I probably should have. So to be a good steward of, and I don't know why these Christmas mug photos are in here. That was from a completely different shoot. But to be a good steward of what I'm teaching, I'm going to go ahead, and I think these are from, when did I shoot these? From September of 2020. Yeah, I guess I just wasn't paying attention. But we're going to put muffin, food, still life, flash because I was using a strobe to get this background or to get this brightness, you know, and let's see, what else do we want to call this? I think that'll be it. We'll put banana, if I could spell it. Whatever. Not gonna put banana. Spelling on stream is too difficult and it's embarrassing, so I won't do that. But now all of these photos have been keyworded, so I can recall those images at a later date, and you can see the difference, or see that all of these are updated. And I didn't put the author for myself, which I should have, but that's, again, something you should do no matter what, right? Now we will go into a few other things. So let me go back to my family portraits folder. No, and then still life. That's why. Family pictures, and I have a shoot that I wanted to show you this because I actually need to do this. So practicing some headshots with my daughter because she is a fabulous model. Shout out to my daughter Jaden. Thank you for letting your father have some fun with photography gear, and she had some fun, and I'm going to get some of these printed for her so she can have them in her room and whatnot. But what you can do, like this folder, there's 428 items because I shot in RAW and JPEG. So really half of these are RAW, half of these are JPEG. I shot in JPEG primarily because I wanted to send them to my phone immediately and share them with my wife, but I never ended up doing that. Now, if you click on this light bulb over here, you get Smart Organize. Now, this is inside of ON1 Photo Raw 2021. Sorry, had to get a sip of coffee. This is also inside of ON1 Photo Raw 2021. And I'm not a huge fan of this feature, but, you know, I would not be a good instructor if I didn't at least show you how this works, okay? And I think it will be beneficial for some people, but for me personally, it is not that most beneficial because I organize my photos from import to editing. Or from really import to export and later on archiving. So this particular thing did not appeal to me because I've already got my photos organized. But, you know, if you don't and you want some help getting your stuff organized, this might be helpful. All right, that's enough of that. So the first option is you have to search where the photos are. I personally like to use current photos because this can take some time. So I use it on a folder basis. If you go to if I went to my personal work folder that has thousands, hundreds of thousands of images in it, this would take forever and it would not be very beneficial. However, coming to this single photo shoot, where, you know, there's a lot of photos in here, I use current photos, but you can use catalog, you can do a folder, you can choose a folder, all that good stuff. I personally just like to go to the folder that I want to use Smart Organize on if I'm going to use this, and then click and leave this set to current photos. Then you get to choose one of 4 methods or modes to actually search these images. Duplicate photos, self-explanatory. Anything that looks like a duplicate, ON1 is going to categorize, and I'll show you that here in a second. Similar appearance, then if there's something that is similar in the image, it'll start to group those. The same time, this is really helpful for landscape photographers, right? So if you go out and you're photographing in some national park and you start in one location, time of the day, and then you go, for 8 hours throughout the day photographing stuff, right? I don't know if 8 hours is realistic or not, but let's say it is. Well, or really for weddings too, right? Because a wedding can really be 8 hours. You can group by the time that you shot the images. So if you want just the morning shots and in one folder, you can do just the morning shots in one folder. If you want just the afternoon shots in one folder, you can do just the afternoon shots in one folder. And you can really fine tune that. I could see where this comes in handy if you're shooting events that span throughout the entire day and you want to kind of segment your work. And this is a workflow thing. So if you're like, you know what, I only want to work on morning photos today, maybe this is an option for you to do that. But like I said before, I have all of my photos sorted by the last shot is at the top of my browse window here. And then the first shot is all the way at the bottom of my browse window. So I already have this particular feature built into my workflow personally. And then, of course, same place, this is going to use some GPS data. So we're going to go with duplicate photos first. I'm going to hit find, and it's going to look inside of this folder for duplicate photos. And this is what it found. Now you can see it's just really picking up on these are all the same facial expression. This could be helpful for culling and culling just means making selections of images that you want to edit or keep versus images that you don't. And what you can do is you can just click on these files, and that is I don't know why this one doesn't have a little check block. That's weird. There should be a check block on all of these images, but for some reason, some of them don't. Oh, okay, it's loading. There they are. Sorry, ON1, just doing what ON1 does, and it moves slow, all right, for some things. Now, as you can see, there's these little circles in the top right-hand corner of each of the images, and it's categorizing these in groups. Is there a way to expand? Oh, no, there isn't. All right. Well, anyhow, if I wanted to compare these photos, right? So I have this photo, and I'm like, well, they look similar, but which one do I like the most before I select to reject it? I can click on this icon right here. Oh, ON1 decided to quit. I was throwing too much at it. Give me a second, guys. So, apologize for that. ON1, and I don't know. Maybe you guys are experiencing this too. ON1 shutting down on you when you're in the middle of doing something, and it just does not want to cooperate. I'm pulling it back up here, but that is the story of my life when it comes to ON1. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm on an M1 Mac, but it is very frustrating at times, to say the least. So, and I realize my camera keeps going in and out of focus. I think I need to stop putting it on autofocus and just leave it on manual after it's focused. So, all right, but let's go ahead and jump back into the computer now that I got it back up and running. So I'm going to go back into the computer. So here's where we left off. ON1 is still thinking. I'm probably not going to be able to show you the comparison model just because I got so much running. I got so much running with ON1 right now and the screen share. Thanks, Antonio. I appreciate that. Yeah, it just loves to shut down on me. This happens to me at least twice a day. It's actually frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. But we will move on. All right. Well, what I was saying is you can select which photos you want to keep inside of these groups, right? So if I check this block, and now I can create a new subfolder, right? And it's all based off of these groups. Or I can just skip this group entirely and it'll just leave those photos alone and you don't have to worry about it. And then, of course, I could also reject all of these photos if it's like, hey, I don't want any of these, or reject the marked versions of the photo. Like, I don't want this photo and that photo. So I can hit reject marked, and it's going to put, if I click that, it removes them from that particular grouping, right? So, and then I can go with reject or delete for my reject mode. I don't want to delete. I don't like deleting photos. I like to save all of my photos. So I leave that alone. And I don't mess with automark. But once you're done, after you've made your selections, and again, I'm not showing this so much because I personally don't use this for my organizing method. But if, you know, I'm like, hey, you know what? I want all of these photos and I've made my selections, whatever. You can hit done and it's going to create subfolders for you of all of the selections that you've made so you can work in batches. Now, inside of the organize feature, remember there's 4 different models that you, or modes that you can use. You can use define duplicates, where it goes find similar appearance, group by time or by location, and then you have similar names, and this will be extensions, base name, or a similar name to the one. You can even do aspect ratio. All right. So if I wanted to go with group by time, and then I can hit search, ON1 is now going to group all of these photos by the time they were taken, which most of these are going to be pretty close because it was all within, like they were shot fairly in succession of one another. Now, there's obviously differences when you go through and you talk over some things or whatnot. And I was talking to my daughter the whole time that we were doing this, and, you know, we were being silly. So there's going to be gaps in time in there. But you can also you can drop down the advanced when you do the group by time. And you can select your time gap. So maybe I know that I want them to be grouped by, we'll say, and this is in seconds. So yeah, we'll say 400 seconds. I don't know what that is. I'm not doing the math on that. And then matching level. This is just how intense it's going to match to that 400-second window. The higher up you go, the closer it's going to get to that 400 seconds exactly. And then this one, the lower down, it's just going to kind of use its genius algorithm to figure out if it should be in a folder or not. And then GPS distance in meters, that's self-explanatory. So if you move from taking a picture of a tree and then you walk 5 meters or 15 meters, whatever it may be, you take another photo of that tree or maybe even a different rock or a different tree, then you'll be able to separate by distance how far you are into subgroups. Again, I don't use this, and I see there's a comment. This, yeah, so Antonio doesn't like this either. Yeah, I'm again, I could see the value in this. I could see the value in this. I really can. I just personally don't use it because it's cumbersome and it's time consuming. I just, you know, I don't find it as useful as you know, I guess it was pitched to be. Now, if you are an avid user of the Smart Organize, and you're like, no, I can't not have Smart Organize, then please share your thoughts in the comment section or in the chat, because I am all ears on the productivity that this provides, as opposed to just organizing your photos from the beginning. And it comes down to, do you have a system? So I'm just going to go ahead and close that out. And it all comes down to, do you have a system of organizing your photos and your files in a way that is going to get you what you're looking for, and that you can recall photos. For a long time, when I started out, I did not have a system. I was just so happy to have a camera. I was like, oh man, look, I'm taking pictures. And I was just happy that they weren't blurry. So when I dropped them into a folder and I opened them up, I was like, okay, I didn't even think about naming the files. I thought everything was just going to be whatever the Nikon camera came up with. And then I realized that I was running into file name issues. And so I started renaming my files manually. And that took a long time. This is before I even knew, because I was shooting JPEG, by the way. This is even before I knew that you could have photo editing software kind of do some of that heavy lifting for you. So there I was on my computer renaming files one at a time. And then I eventually upgraded my workflow to a Finder, an automator script. And whenever I wanted to batch rename files, found that out in the Mac Life magazine. I was like, hey, I could use this to rename my files. And then by that point, I started migrating into Lightroom, and I learned, how to do that in Lightroom. So overall, I've been working, I originally did not have a organizational method. Since then, I've gone back and renamed a lot of those files, and some of my files in my JPEG folder are still not named. And it's kind of disappointing, because there's some really good photos that I took, or at least in my mind, the way I remember them, they're really good photos. They may not be very good photos when I go back and look at them now, because that was years ago. We're talking like 2012 and 13, when I was getting into photography. So a completely different approach, if you will, to managing my files. But I found out later on down the line that my lack of organizing my files during import it was causing me issues. And so I had to fix it. I fixed it by the system that I showed you here. And Lightroom, bless Adobe for Lightroom, but the cataloging system in Lightroom, one of the things that drew me to ON1 is I can make changes to my hard drive in ON1 while I am organizing my images, as opposed to everything I do cataloging wise, it only happens inside of Lightroom. And that is extremely, extremely annoying when you're trying to edit your images and find where you save them. At least for me, it was annoying. So at least here, I know that whenever I upload an image and I save it to my hard drive, if I'm not inside of ON1, I can still navigate to that file. And that comes in handy, especially when you're making videos and you want to drop a file, a photo in to the video as a reference. So hopefully that all made sense. But it is extremely important for every photographer, regardless of your level, to understand photo organization and file management. Because if you let this get out of control, it almost becomes less of a joy of photographing, because you're like, I don't even know where my photos are. I don't know how to keep them. And when someone's like, hey, can you share this photo with me? I know you have a really good photo. And I'm sorry, the out of focus is bothering me. I'm just trying to, hopefully that fixes itself. And here, we'll just do this. There. Now, don't have to worry about it. But yeah, hopefully, that was this video or this live stream was helpful to those of you who are looking for a file organization system, or at least understanding ways of organizing your files inside of ON1 Photo Raw, because I have been there and I know it. And Tony says that he learned a lot from this. So that's always exciting when I can help someone learn something new. And if that's you, drop it in the comment section below. Let me know, and I'll continue to build on my library of teaching you how to use ON1 Photo Raw in creative ways, but also practical ways, right? Creativity is great, and I want everyone to be as creative as they possibly can when they are working inside of ON1 Photo Raw. But at the same time, I want it to be practical. I want it to be functional. I want it to be realistic. And if it's not, if it's, some obscure way of doing things, I don't think that that's value added. So I don't do those. And if I do an obscure thing, I promise you, I will let you know I'm doing something very obscure, or something that you may never have to do in your photo editing career or journey. So only do it if it's something that you think would be value added for yourself and your workflow in the long run. Thank you, Antonio. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah. So I think that's going to wrap it up. I do have some videos that are coming out this week. I think on Monday, it's how to open shadows in your photo. And I showed 3 different ways on how to do that. And then on Wednesday, I should probably know what is posting to the channel. But I have another video. I think that one's about curves. I think that is the curves module explained, or curves filter in ON1 explained. That's coming out on Wednesday. And then, of course, you'll have a quick edit at some point later in the week. Those are the 3 videos coming up for this week. And then we'll be back here next Saturday for another live stream. And that topic is undecided just yet. But if there is any suggestion for the topic, please let me know. And I will be more than happy to at least see if that's something I can, 1, teach, or 2, if it's something that I think would warrant a class-like setting, such as the live stream, versus me just doing a instructional video or tutorial. That's kind of my mindset behind it. The organization piece, I felt like there was so much information that needed to be shared that comes from a very deep desire to stay on top of organizing photos, that I felt I had to do this as a live stream, and that was the best way of doing it, because there's so much continued information that goes into organizing your photos that we've covered in this live stream. And then also wanted to be able to answer any questions as they come up. But if you're watching this on the replay, still ask your questions. I am more than happy to answer them, and hopefully I can answer them. If not, I'll point you in the right direction. So yeah, I think that is everything. And we'll be back here on next Saturday. And then there will probably be, wow, I can't speak. There will probably be a small break between February and March, just because I have some stuff in my personal career that I'm doing, and I'm going to go away for 2 months for some professional training. Hopefully that works out. If not, maybe like how I uploaded the video from the hotel, maybe it'll be down to one video a week or something like that. I try not to record my videos too far in advance because I want to stay as relevant to the questions that are coming up. But also, I don't want to record too far in advance because I feel like I forget some of the things that are coming out. So I usually stay about a week or at the max 2 weeks ahead. So if anyone asks a question, I can answer that with a video within a 2 week time period, depending on where I'm at in my workflow. So I think I rambled on enough for the end of this live stream. Thank you all for hanging out with me today and spending some time inside of ON1 Photo Raw. In the comments, you guys are continuing to show me so much love, and I truly, truly am humbled, and I appreciate that. So if there are no other questions or comments, then I will say thank you. Happy New Year once again. It's the last time I'm going to say it because I said it before. But, if you're just now hanging out, Happy New Year. And I hope to see you guys next week and see you guys in the comment section throughout the week on the videos that post to the channel. Until the next time, I want you guys to stay inspired and keep creating. Peace.